Let me spend the next 15 to 20 minutes talking about what we are doing with Yung Yo as Hong Kong Broadband and how we actually approach the whole model of what we call the network plus AI plus computing power. Okay. So in case you don't know about Hong Kong Broadband, actually we are the second largest telco company, the second largest broadband company in Hong Kong. And we are about majority owned by China Mobile. And basically our revenue every year is about 11 billion Hong Kong dollars. EBITDA is about 2.5 billion Hong Kong dollars. And about 1/3 of the whole enterprise in Hong Kong is using the Hong Kong Broadband as their network infrastructure. And for residential home use, we have about 50% market share. So about half of the residential users are broadband customers for home use or consumer use. And also we have about 1,200 technical people. Total number of employees about 4,000. So using Hong Kong as what we call Zhuhai, go global, is the trend now that we can use Hong Kong Broadband for support. So a few years ago, we are talking about how we collaborate with partners. And if you know about Hong Kong, previously, a lot of the US partnership in ERP, like SAP or Oracle. But first of all, they're expensive. And second of all, it's more and more moving into what we call the local China usage. So we actually are partnering with Yung Yo and basically not just doing ERP, but HR applications, consumer usage applications, customer center application like Sobot. So we are actually partnering in terms of many different types of applications. And we provide what we call the system integration support. So Yung Yo will be doing the second level support, and we'll be doing the first level or system integration support in Hong Kong. So we actually, as Hong Kong Broadband, we use what we call the AI plus network plus computing power as the whole model of how it goes. So this morning, Wang Wenjing 董事长 actually talked about 1 plus AI, AI plus 1. When we talk about AI, actually, most of the applications today is AI plus. So you have an AI plus AI. So you have an AI application and you met actually traditional application matching with more AI element is what we call plus AI. But we believe that eventually it will move to AI plus. However, when we move to AI plus, AI is not the only thing you need to think about. You also need to think about network and network speed because the transition timing is very different. 5 years ago, you only care about how you get the download speed because a lot of the stuff is doing in the cloud or in the back end. But with AI, you are doing more multi-cloud sync or actually edge AI, computing edge, etc. So the network speed is becoming more and more important. And also the computing power is getting very important because a lot of the computing power is not just application. You need to be agent as a service or token as a service. So we actually see what happened in the last 6 or 7 months. We see in the Hong Kong broadband business a 200% increase in AI-related business. We see that our GPU infrastructure business grow 5 times. We see that the networking speed requirement, each of the new customers, about 2 customers, one of them are using the fastest speed, 2.5 gig plus broadband. So many customers traditionally only use the 1 gig broadband. Because of AI, they are using faster and faster speed. And also we see that the MetroNet, which is more point-to-point data center to data center network connection requirement has grown 20 times. So that's why we say AI changes networking and changes computing power. So basically, we do a lot of self-research and new products that we develop to this new networking era in terms of whole applications and network stability. So, for example, if we looking at the SME business, looking at the large enterprise business, we look at how we actually go into more networking stability. So one example is one of the applications that we developed called Aegis Insight. We will be looking at the whole Hong Kong map. You can click into the customer application and look into what kind of bandwidth, what kind of current traffic, what kind of speed. So you actually get alert before you get a downtime in the networking speed. And customer actually thinks it's very important. So we see that we are changing from the digital era into the cloud era, where the cloud business has been changing. And then even 1.5 years ago, we were talking about Gen AI. Now we are talking about agentic AI. So agentic AI is basically with multi-agents, the computing power changes and the decision of the AI will help you decide and execute tasks. That's very important because you are not only searching for information, but agentic AI actually help you execute a task with information from your own data. So you will see a change. You already see that Yung Yo itself is making a change in this agentic AI era. And this change will be very important for the very near future. So we see that in the next 2 years, 74% of all the users will be doing agentic AIs, AI agents, will be moderately using AI agents. 5% of the business will actually be heavily using what we call the AI plus genetic AI solutions. Okay? 15% of the decisions will be made by AI. So no more by human. So 15% of the decisions in 2028 will be made by AI. And then 200% growth in the network because of AI in the next 2 years. So a lot of genetic changes or DNA changes in the area. So we talk about AI, we talk about one-stop enterprise AI platform. So what we did in Hong Kong is we of course provide network. We of course provide the whole AI. We just announced we also provide the computing power. So basically we are using the domestic AI GPU, Bian and Muxi, and then put it in the Hong Kong Cyberport, which is in the Hong Kong Island, owned by the government as the GPU computing power. And we also provide token as a service, agentic AI as a service, and basically putting in a strategic ecosystem. So we announced actually 2 days ago that we are having a 98 Hong Kong dollars in a month of AI tokens that we can use for 5 different staff agents applications on AI Plus for small and medium enterprise. So we have received a lot of good feedback on that. So this whole AI infrastructure, we are talking about basically how to use Hong Kong broadband as AI plus network plus computing power. And you can see that actually we are doing the fully managed service because when people use AI, they are afraid that whether it's secure, whether this one is hosted in Hong Kong or hosted in Shenzhen, whether it's hosted in the local area, whether there's actually security features, whether it's AI agents. So we all have this unified data integration we provide as a platform with built-in security, flexible consumption, and infrastructure control. So actually, we invite our partners like Yung Yo to participate. So next week, we will be working with the Youngyo team to look at, they also have an AI agent, which is, I think, 200 something renminbi. So we are looking at how do we partner together to sell it using our infrastructure agent in Hong Kong, because sometimes if you sell only China agents, Hong Kong might not like it. So we'll be working with Youngyo in this area. So if you look at the whole infrastructure layer, the bottom layer is the infrastructure, the network, and then it's the computing and data management, and then it's the hardware infrastructure, including CPU and GPU. And then the next top layer is the security and compliance module, and then it's the AI model aggregation, and then on the top is the enterprise AI application. So in the right side, you can see Hong Kong Broadband is partnering with different what we call partners, US partners, Hong Kong partners, China partners. So you see Youngyo right now on the top is the enterprise AI applications. But we could go one layer down if Youngyo is willing. So we are looking at the different collaboration model of how we get this work together. So the whole alliance strain created thriving innovation ecosystems with basically the network applications, data, computing power, safety, and cloud that we have different partners to work for. So let me close by giving you one customer example that we are doing, because more and more customers are doing what we call global or Zhuhai. So I see a lot of partners are in Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore. Many times right now, the China customers, companies, are using Hong Kong as the main hub and then putting that into Southeast Asia. So if you want to participate in Hong Kong with Hong Kong Broadband, you can contact us so we can work together using Hong Kong as the center and then going to Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, etc. So this is you will see more and more that Hong Kong is the international center, and then worldwide class infrastructure, and then basically going global. Actually, Youngyo is the same model. The Youngyo Gbic structure mostly actually center in Hong Kong, and then they go actually outside of Hong Kong to overseas. So we can actually have a very good partnership in this area. So the final example that I want to show is one customer that we have. I'm not going to the customer name, but they actually buy what we call the MetroNet 100 gig network, multi-site. So they use Hong Kong as the engine, and then the MetroNet actually connect with the Hong Kong data center, actually connect with their multi-cloud site or the multi-cloud platform. And then they actually connect with Shenzhen. Because Shenzhen and Hong Kong has different data law, so they are very careful in terms of not violating the data law of what can be transport in, transport out of Shenzhen versus Hong Kong. And then they use Shenzhen as the Greater Bay Area center for actually their different centers. And then they use Hong Kong to actually go to Singapore, Japan, and different Southeast Asia countries. So these kind of model, what we call go global, using Hong Kong, we see that as more and more will happen. So with your participation in Youngyo, I think we can actually help with your business, partner with Youngyo in this go global model. Thank you very much.